Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first semi-final of the ESOC Challenge Cup. This is a 1v1 tournament featuring the top 16 players of the ELO ladder in recent times, and we're now into the semi-finals and only 4 players remain. The first series is between Haitch and Kynesie. Haitch is spawned into the south of the map Mexico in the color red, playing as the Spanish civilization, and his opponent Kynesie spawned into the north of the map in the color blue, playing as the Swedish. And I know that gasp, you're so excited by this. Of course, I'm being joined by the Swedish master himself, Mr. Aussie Jongo.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Wow. Okay, so as we were discussing before in the pre-match, Kynesie's got to win 1 game on land if he wins the other 3 games on water to take the series out. And he's picked up Sweden for his land map. I'm so excited. Let's see it, Kynesie. Oh, Kynesie, you excite me greatly. This is going to be a beautiful match. I'm looking forward to it. We've already got Haitch opting for a trade post over on the right-hand side of the map. A little bit interesting. He's got the war dog. So typically it's very easy for him to defend the trading post if he's going to put it down, because it's quite common where you'll see the opponent send out their explorer to the trading post to meet the Spanish player, exactly how Kynesie is somewhat doing now in this direction. So interesting to see that H opted for that trading post instead of opting for the leftmost trading post, which is normally the trading post that people do opt for. What do you think behind that? What do you reckon, Harrison?
Well, I was just looking at that, and by the time that Travois reached the sites where if a TP was built there, H would have got his first pass, it wouldn't have actually sped up his first shipment. He basically had the XP already of shipment number 1, and that's because he's playing as Spain, which naturally gather experience points faster than other civilizations. And so the placement, it didn't really matter which side H wanted to chuck it on, either the far left or the far right, because it's the Travois just instantly spawns on the right-hand side. But did you notice how Kynesie was on the left-hand side of the map and H was on the other side, building uncontested and undisturbed?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense now that when you put it all into perspective. Had H been on, say, the Germans or something like that, it would have made a lot more sense for him to actually go for that left-hand side trading post. But obviously being on Spain, getting that first shipment up so much faster, really means that he doesn't have to worry about it. So great to see.
Let's have a quick check of H's deck in the first stage and see what the Spanish player is rocking here today. We see 12 pikes in the third age, and that's giving me a bit of a throwback to more of an RE playstyle many years ago. 12 pikes isn't really in the meta at the moment, and this deck does suggest more of an aggressive play here from H, as well as having 8 pikes and 7 Rodilleras in the second age. I don't often usually see the need for having both of those.
Yeah, well, the deck's actually called 1v1 12 pike, so he's made a deck very specifically for this. So I think he might have actually been preparing potentially for this matchup, and he knows that Sweden's going to be out on the map, Sweden's going to be putting down torps, so what's he going to be doing? He's probably going to just age up, that typical age up time, probably somewhere around 7 minutes 15, and just shipping those pikes straight up. Whether we see him go Spanish Gold first or whether we see him go straight into the pikemen, I'm not too sure, but I suspect we're going to see those pikes out a lot earlier than what you would normally see. And interestingly, we see Kynesie going for a 15 villager age up here. So one of the most recent developments with Swedish meta is that 14 villager age ups have become very, very important, allow you to get the ball rolling a lot earlier than a 15 vil age up. But he's done an idleless 15, so it's he's now moved all of his villagers over to wood. He's got 13 on wood, and he's got 2 that I'm assuming are moving out into position to begin putting down torps.
I was about to say, that's the question I wanted to ask, was how would Jongo play this matchup, and how do you think Kynesie will play this matchup? Because I want to hold on checking his deck until I hear what your game plan would have been in your position playing as the Swedish here into Spain.
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways that you can play this matchup. The first way is just going all in age 2 with the Swedes. And the second way is a little bit of it's a ditch where you basically just build all of your torps and try to get to age 3. And once you hit age 3, shipping in 2 falconets. And then at the same time, building up a massive Carolians. But I think we've started to see Sweden be more favorable in age 2 now, just because people have learned their build orders. They've optimized them to a point where I would be going something like racks into double stable, or just racks into stable into racks, something like that. And that would enable you to provide an answer to those 2 falconets and would allow you to sort of push back that Spanish mass and make sure that you do ship those 2 leather cannons in as well. Very important. But we do see that Haitch is definitely planning for that age 3. His macro is almost on point for the age up. He's almost hitting 100 coin, and he's going to be aging up with the governor, sending in that forward outpost. I'm curious whether we're going to see him go 700 coin, 700 wood, and then 8 pikes, or whether we're going to see him just go 700 coin and then 8 pikes straight away. I really do suspect he's not sending the 700 coin. That's a bit slow, a bit sloppy there.
You just said 8. You just said the same thing twice. Send in 8 pikes, or will he send 8 pikes? I'm like, what?
Sorry, I meant will he send 8 pikes instead of the 700 wood, or will he send the 700 wood first? But it looks like he's going to opt 700 wood.
That's a good idea actually. Sending the pikes early to get the pressure out on the map. Jezebob dropping 5 gifted subs to the channel. The man behind all the overlays. Many thanks. Let's look at Kynesie's deck and see what he's doing for Governor Age Up. Very defensive outpost in base. Barracks being front up behind with 3 villagers. Sending Dominion's first card. Looking at his deck though, I don't see anything jumping out at me. This is a very specific Kynesie deck, but he has labelled this deck as Colonial Militia, so maybe just a minor alteration to other decks he has.
I think with the fact that he's got CM in this deck, that tells me he's going to be playing this in H2. Typically, we would see Swedes potentially opting for H3, as I mentioned earlier, but I think with the inclusion of CM in the deck, I think that he's going to be seeking to play H2. So, yeah, looking forward to see how he does play it. The Torp wagon getting picked up by the human Incan native that was converted.
But where's this wagon going? Because it's not going to make another mine. It needs to go back onto this copper mine here. Otherwise, it's just going to chuck it down randomly in the middle of the map. This is awkward, and this is just a nice pickup from a free treasure guardian. You see, he's realised what he needs to do. He needs to go back, but he's not going to hit the mine. He just needs to drop it down just to get their berry bush income. And we could actually see an early Torp wagon being picked off. It's going to get close, and actually, Haitch is moving forward in position to block it. 40 HP, it does go down, and Incan Human is going to try and siege, but these guys get built so fast that it won't really matter.
Oh, yeah, it was close, wasn't it? But we do see the first batch of Corollians coming out, beginning to apply pressure. It looks like H has almost lost his Explorer there. A pretty big pickup if he could lose, or if he did lose it for Kynesie, but it looks like he's managed to get it away, so pretty good save. Have we seen the next shipment coming in from Kynesie? Looks like he's got the 700 wood sitting underneath his outpost. Bit of an error here. It doesn't look like it's being picked up by any of the Torps. So when you do ship Dominions, your Torps do receive the bonus where they can pick up crates. So had he sent this to a Torp, then it would have been picking them up instead. But he's now wasting valuable villager seconds picking those crates up. But it's something minor. It's not overly big. And the Sergeant of Arms. I'm assuming that is the Pikeman age up.
It is. Yeah, so it looks like H has gone 700 coins, 700 wood into 5 villages, currently at 22 population out of 50. But aging up with the pikemen from the outpost, usually the hussars give you the most value and the most, should I say, momentum when he gets to the next stage. But hussars, they do get countered by Corollians from range, so it's quite awkward to try and raid with cavalry. And with lots of Torps out on the map, pikemen can put a nice bit of pressure. And if the pikes from the age up start sieging these very far Torps, look how far this Torp is on this tree line, and a couple of Torps on this far coin mine as well.
Very sneaky.
You love the sneaky strats of sending Torps out everywhere and playing your cockroach style. But Kynesie's actually pushing out here with his Carolines, and actually we'll see the pikes. And at the moment, a bit of momentum here for Kynesie, but I think Haitch with his first shipment of Lancers will be fine if Kynesie keeps pushing.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that the Lancers here are an absolutely perfect choice, especially in this sort of this Age 2 style where Kynesie hasn't got his stable up yet, or at least I suspect he hasn't got his stable up yet, because it means that we're going to have the War Dogs coming in from behind at the same time, and we're going to have the Lancers coming in. It's just going to be a really sort of perfect timing, and Kynesie's going to be very careful not to get caught here, because if he does, the War Dogs are just going to absolutely shred him up. So yeah, very curious. And we see H is also training some skirms at the moment, which is I would say the correct choice. A skirm mass is what's important. And we do see Kynesie's also dropped down that stable now, so that is that's sort of what we expected to happen. The
first wall-in of the series has started. Kynesie walling at home, but it's quite a few of his infantry units still out on the map, at risk at the moment, but they are starting to come home. Kynesie likely to be playing on the back foot, more defensively, given his stronger eco over his opponents and trying to weather the power spike that is the Spanish shipments. The pikeman still stands in, but we do see double Lancer shipment incoming backed by skirmishers. So it looks like we're having the skirmishers and Lancers to do with the Carolians, and then the pikemen from the Egypt just to do with a couple husks that are out. So, yeah, and you also have the war dogs as well. And Kynesie is basically on full Carolians here, actually. I think there's a risk of Kynesie just getting cleaned up here. Haitch has got basically the counter competition to a pure musketeer army at the moment. And what I do notice is that Haitch is not messing around. He's not sending 2 falconets because these Carolians, with their charge ability, can easily swarm Spanish units and cut down that piece of artillery.
And that's exactly it. Are we able to go and check over on Kynesie's side and see what unit or what shipments he sent from the home city? I know that we saw CM come in, but did we see any economic shipments come in?
Why has he sent CM this early? He sent CM, but he's had no pressure underneath his town centre already at this point, and even just a rogue blueberry shipment, which he did send the blueberries already, but
yeah,
this colonial militia is not helping these Carolians at the moment. He's currently caught underneath the Spanish outpost, so more shipments can drop on, but these Carolians, they don't have any multipliers in hand combat. As soon as the Lancers get on top, these Carolians are going down. A couple of scums behind, going to focus on the Carolians here. A batch of Rotterdam has been trained in anticipation of the reinforcing cavalry units here from Kynesie. Another shipment here for Kynesie, but I don't think he's got enough military shipments to hold this. And yeah, the dogs as well now get on top. Now that the ranged infantry mass is dwindled down, these dogs won't likely get picked off by the Carolian mass, and it just has gone down. Kynesie really has no mass behind this, and Haitch still has that momentum, still sending shipments. That was a really nice catch there from Haitch, and Kynesie's now having to run back to his base.
Yeah, that was an amazing catch by Haitch. Really well done. One of the primary things that Sweden needs is they need to maintain their mass. And we can see that at the moment it looks like Kynesie's only on 2 military production buildings, so he's going to be producing units quite slowly. If he does lose his mass, he's not going to be able to rely on shipments the same way that Spain is able to rely on them. So definitely looks like Haitch has got a bit of a lead out here. Kynesie has been able to hit 200 torp population though, and he's been able to do that somewhat without too much of a hitch, which means that right now his economy is going gangbusters. We can see he's collecting food, that thing's skyrocketing up like crazy. He's just shipped his 700 coin. Are we able to see where he shipped that coin to?
He has sent it to a torp, but it's only on a single torp, not even trying to angle it towards the other torp. So take a while for this single torp to gather all that coin up. The Egypt's coming behind. Exiled Prince, the fast Egypt, counter push from Kynesie, trying to put some pressure of Carolians out on the map. He realises he can't deal with these fortress units on the right hand side with the skirmishers, but yeah, this single Hussar doing work as well. He has picked up already 1 villager and looking to pick up a second. Carolian going to come in for another snipe. That's 2 vills down there. I think Kynnesie's just going to back off, and the Swedish eco is kicking in right now. It's getting really strong. 180 torp population, blueberries in, and H still just knocking on Kynnesie's front door, and this 5 wood wall just buying himself a lot of time.
And that's it. So here is where CM finally comes in and gets a little bit of value. I remember that you said earlier, well, he's shipped CM here and he hasn't really done anything with it. My biggest fear when I play with CM is that I ship it too late, and Kynesie's made sure that he doesn't avoid that. He's gone with the early CM shipment. That way, he knows 100% he's going to be able to deal with those Falcons when they do come in. We do see H having to pull back, acknowledging that the CM is in, and saying, all right, I can't deal with the town center. Because typically, you'd be able to siege a town center without colonial militia. But unfortunately for H, he's going to have to pull back. He's going to have to find another angle to attack. And whether he builds up more artillery, whether he decides to build some petards, or which I don't think he will. But I think he's just going to have to sort of continue building that mass and just sort of wait out and try and put pressure on the map. Oh, great pickup right here. We see that Lancer on top of those vills. What are these villagers doing out here? I'm very curious what these
they're quite exposed, and we have lots of Rotterdams and skirmishers coming across. It's not often that you see 7 villagers out on the map, especially when you're playing as Sweden and quite a lot of your resources tucked up in base for quite a long time, with the ability to send coin mines as well. You'll never turn down a 7 villager raid, and this is going to be pretty brutal. Meanwhile, we see Pike sieging a torp on the right side. A couple of villas being picked off here from Haitch, so a bit of a counter raid here, but certainly you would take this trade any day of the day as Haitch. I was about to say, I want to see that town centre will get repaired, but this 7-ville pickup is huge.
Yeah, I'm honestly just a little bit curious why they were out this far. Perhaps they were on a hunt or something?
Look at this wood at the outpost being sieged by all these veteran Corollians as well, and now we have a couple of Hackapilites coming from behind, so nice heavy cavalry which can deal with Rodoleros and Pikemen from a safe distance with their ranged pistol attack behind the line of Corollians maybe tanking as a mid-shield.
The villagers are coming out. They're going to take it. Oh, poor Haitch. He knows exactly how painful this is. There's nothing worse than making a mistake like that and then being actually punished for it. Because sometimes you ship your 1,000 wood to your forward and you think, it's okay, I'm not going to lose it. And it doesn't happen. But today, unfortunately for Haitch, he's losing that wood. And that must be so painful to watch all of that wood swing to his opponent. He would have been thinking, I'm going to put down 2 TCs with this. I'm going to put down an artillery foundry.
The blocking, the pathing. Okay, looks like the Corons successfully surrounds the Falconets to protect them. A Falconet trade here, possibly about to happen between 2 players. Looks like Haitch has only got 1 Falconet in range of the 2. This could be going in favour of Kynesie. A couple of shots going on top of the Corollians. Likewise, Kynesie focusing down the skirmishers with the Falconets. A big volley there from the Falconets here from Haitch, but a couple of skirms picking up the Corollians. Dog's going to charge in. Falconets currently left unprotected, and Dogs with their 22 hand attack quickly picking off one of the Falconets. Both the Falconets going down. Hackapilites going in and overcommitting there to pick off the double Falconet, but winning the war 1-0, and actually taking some good trades behind this, and not to mention stealing the 1k wood. Spain has lost their power spike and hand charge Corollians, overwhelming the Spanish Rodoleros and Pikemen, and yeah, they were trapped, and these musketeers are going to cut them down, and Kynnesie's just taken the first game on a land map.
Oh my god. Well, I know before this game people said, well, it's got to be the 3 water maps and a land map with Japan. Well, what about 3 water maps and a land map with Sweden, baby? Didn't Sweden look beautiful there? Holy moly. I am in awe of that. That just looked...
The thing is, at the end, so there's 2 Hackapilites, which, you know, I think is an underused unit at the moment. They're already given the veteran upgrade because they're a shadow tech unit. They have a ranged attack with a very small area damage, but you know, Pikemen, Rodoleros, they have their melee resist. They're weak to these ranged fire, especially when these units are behind a Caroline line in a charge formation, kind of providing that blockage for these heavy cavalry to kind of protect away from the units. They can run in, snipe off a Falconet quite well, and yeah, the eco behind us for Sweden, and because of that Swedish eco and H unable to break that first town centre, well, Sweden just outscaled, and we didn't even see a colonial militia big pop there from Kynesie, which I was almost about to say was going to happen in that first push before H very wisely backed out.
I just realised, take a look at Kynesie's base. He built a second outpost. He was so ready for the attack to come in. He built a second outpost. How often do you see that? That is so rare that you see. I'm curious, are we able to take a look at Kynesie's side and just see where he's placed his torps?
Yes.
Because I guess my question is, if I'm playing from H's perspective, now keep in mind, I'm a Swedish player. I sort of know what counters Sweden and how I'd play against them, but I'm really curious. Watching this, look how much Kynesie has just spread out his torps. They're not put on a single coin mine. You've got, 3 torps over here on a single coin mine, but with the exception of that, there's no torps that are clumped up, and he's on max torp population. How do you deal with that? Because one of the things that I've been, when I play on my Smurf account, I play games against Sweden, and one of the things that I'm doing from the very beginning of the game is I'm putting aggression out there. I'm making sure that I'm killing villagers, I'm killing torps. I don't know how you deal with that playstyle though. That's incredible.
So if you look at the Vil count as well, you've got to factor in the amount of time lost due to H having to age up with a slow age up due to being Spain, but only aging up there with the 22 villagers, not going for a Spanish gold playstyle, going quite aggressive with unit shipments. But Kynesie just still train units in the meantime, mind his own business, but then having 200 population worth of blueberry torps behind as well. God, this eco should be not even close. And look at that massive difference between the 2 players. And it's not like H was could have broken Kynesie's defensive playstyle there of colonial militia, because the colonial militia was already focusing down one of the Falconets before that TC went down, with the ability for Kynesie to call the colonial militia big button. He was never was never short of resources. There was always the ability for Kynesie to say, if I need an extra 12 clone militia, I can call it to defend myself. And yeah, the AoE3 came in, stealing the 1k wood. That's a very cheeky play, to say the least, but just well controlled as the game went on afterwards.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I'm in awe. That was absolute beauty coming out from Kynesie there.
Just look at how the torps just increased. This is just his total building count. So one of these is the outpost, one of them is barracks. Maybe the second outpost being dropped as well, but just exploding in terms of those units there. But the military population, yes, he did lose quite a few units in that first engagement, but it's more of a sense he took a somewhat favourable trade by just slowing down the Spanish AoE3 mass, making sure they don't get to a critical mass. And then by the time Haitch felt he was able to be somewhat comfortable pushing back out again, Kynesie's in the third age and just doubled his military population straight away, and then took a great fight with the Hackpelts, the Karelians in charge, the Falconets. Yeah, that was a really impressive Kynesie for Kynesie standards on a land map.
Yeah.
We've got water next, haven't we?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Now I'm scared for Haitch. I'm really scared. I think I'm trying to think from Haitch's perspective what he could have done differently. Whether we could have seen maybe a semi-FF out of him, just trying to chase those villages around, because often you'll see Swedish players just send these villages around the map. If you can try and contain the Swedish player to their base, then at least you can prevent them from being safely on those resources. So it's tough. He didn't kill a lot of torps either, but I mean, really, there weren't a lot of torps that he could have killed. Most of them were just like dotted around the map in weird little positions. So yeah, wow. I tell you what, I'm going to go back and rewatch this game multiple times, because that looks like one that I'm going to need to bring the notepad out for.
Well, don't do it just yet. We're about to hop into game number 2 of this series, of his best of 7 series, remember. So if Haitch wants to bring this back, he still needs to win 4. Kynesie now needs to win 2. And we're on that first water map of the series. It is Malaysia. And we see Haitch spawning into the southwest of the map in the colour red, playing as the Portuguese civilization. Kynesie playing as the Ottoman civilization.
Can I just ask, overlay? Yep. I can't see. Overlay.
Oh my, you absolute star, Drongo. Completely forgot about that. I was so...
You're lucky I'm not watching the Discord stream.
I take my hat off to you. I think that's the first time I forgot that overlay since doing this. But yes, we see Kynesie playing as the Ottomans, spawning into the northeastern map, and it's interesting to see because
Kynesie on Ottomans.
We have a trading post race as well, and it looks like both players realizing that this is the first trading post to receive the experience points pass, but it spawns closer to the. No, I think it spawns closer to Kynesie's town centre, so Haitch winning that race is certainly wasn't expecting, but was just wanting to say beforehand was Kynesie won the last game, so it was his choice to pick which civilization he wants to play first, and I was a bit curious to see Kynesie picking the Ottomans here instead of a early Portuguese pick.
Yeah, well, I did not expect this. As you mentioned earlier, Kynesie played Inca, he played Japan, he played the Portuguese in all 3 of his previous games in the group stages. To see the Ottomans, what has he got in store for us? I guess one of the things is that the Ottoman have got an option to open with a dock, and it looks to me like on the minimap we may actually see a dock coming out from Kynesie. We do indeed. So I think he's opted for maybe he opted for a little bit of a fake TP there. Maybe even I'd be curious to see. Maybe he ran his Explorer around a little bit just so that he actually missed. Oh, okay, bit of a treasure snipe coming in from Haitch. But with that dock already being up, schooners on the way. That we're watching from Haitch's perspective. But my suspicion is that it was never Kynesie's plan in the first place to actually take that trading post. I think that he already had his dock in mind. He knew what he was doing from the beginning of this.
It's hard to say, but it might just be trying to catch up the Portuguese explorer. But certainly Haitch is wise enough to know that Ottoman player is either he's going to build a trading post or he's going to build a dock. You're not going to not spend that wood. It's not like Kynesie is going to be building 2 houses, a market, hunting dogs. a mosque, the first wood upgrade, and kind of waste wood in that sense. He's going to spend it very wisely, and given that Kynesie hasn't built a trading post yet, I think Haitch is very safe, ensuring that a dock play is in store, and we see the Artful Dodger dropping $20. Rule Kynesie rules the waves.
Indeed he does. Indeed he does. A big fan favourite, Kynesie, mainly for his ability to rule the waves. And I guess the question is going to come, can Kynesie rule the waves with the Ottomans?
Oh, just... Okay.
I'm excited.
You know how the hunts spawn in the kind of the top left and the bottom right, and the hunts spawn pretty symmetrically. We've got 3 groups of hunts here, but they've all kind of herded themselves onto the coastline. A couple of outposts, a couple of docks, a couple of galleys, frigates, monitors, and this whole coastline is secure, similarly down to the south. But, oh, look at this, we have Haitch dropping down a second dock on his side of the sea, but Kynesie doing his classic playstyle of being aggressive and trying to drop down another dock on the opposing side. I want to go into the fog of war, and Kynesie has seen this dock, and I'm not too sure if he's trying to wall the dock in or trying to block the villager getting out. You can see the villager now, the wall's coming down from Haitch. We got a wall off here. Who can build the fastest, longest, prettiest wall? And
let me see that wall emote in chat. Let me see it right now. Oh my gosh. What is this game?
So Kynnesie's going to come down and think, he hasn't got the wood because he spent the wood on a wall. He spent 15 wood on the wall, and he needs to get that dock as fast as possible. But I think he's just going to pull out at the moment. I don't really think he's going to stick around too much and not take the fight. And he's just going to spend that wood on maybe a second dock to the top side and have a gentleman's agreement of no fighting in the sea.
Indeed. I tell you what, obviously we see that second trade post now going down. Trade post. We see that second town centre now going down for Haitch. Is that potentially what Kynesie was looking at preventing? Was he looking at preventing this an optimal position for this town centre to go down? I mean, Haitch has still found a pretty good spot. He's going to be covering a lot of the shoreline so that if any boats do come out from any of the docks that Kynesie inevitably places in the shoreline,
the dock is coming down. Look at this.
There it is.
And if I was Kynesie and I saw this town centre placement from Haitch, I'd be like, thank you very much for not dropping it on the coastline. I will take this very gladly. And maybe that's just giving Kynesie the green flag to actually drop down the dock. It's going to take a while for the caravels to come in from Haitch. And I think he's not given any coin to train a caravel, and he's just sent the 700 wood. So his caravel shipments might be a bit delayed here, but Kynesie is going 2 galleys, first card here, and dropping his shipments point onto the South Sea, looking to get some early pressure here versus Haitch's 2 docks.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much he's going to be able to achieve with this.
4th dock, Haitch topside with the 4th dock at the moment on the 700 wood, scouted out by Kynesie. And at this point, do you pull back your flag and defend your own coast? Do you kind of try and do both? The galleys to come down to the south side will try and pick up a couple of fishing boats before they get into the dock. So 2 boats picked off there. Actually, a 3rd boat being picked off by the fishing boat in the dock as well. We got a dock off. Both fishing boats in the town centre. Guys getting a little too close though, so the TC's in the range. So it looks like they can't repair underneath this dock, which is crucial at the moment. But this is
that was one of the things that I was very aware of. That even though Kynesie had placed down that dock, he's not going to be able to repair, and he's not going to be able to get any ships out without them taking shots from that town centre. The town centre's been placed in this wonderful position where even if he was to lose water, he's not going to necessarily lose the town centre because of it. So I think that Haitch has been quite smart in placing his town centre in the way that he did. We see Kynesie going down and dropping a second dock. Isn't this beautiful? I absolutely love this play style. This is not something that we get to see a lot. This isn't just your standard, opening double racks against Portuguese or something like that. This is really beautiful where players are just finding sort of not necessarily new things, but they're playing in a way that we don't often see, and that's what excites me.
Oh, the
caravels are moving in.
These ship formations are awkward. Did you see how these guys caravels were really awkwardly pathing? They were quite wide then, and one of the caravels was clearly in the range of the dock for quite a long time. Interesting to see that Kynesie's sending 700 coin instead of further shipments or eco cards. No advanced dock from Kynesie at the moment, and he could transition to somewhat of a timing push on the land in the Fortress Age. He could be sending advanced dock or rendering plants or naval combat, but I think he's realised that fighting on the South Sea is a bit of a pointless exercise considering, pardon me, this double dock, the town centre. If that town centre was placed here, this entire South Sea would be locked down. And, Haitch is on the top sea quite comfortably at the moment as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of fishing boats coming out. Are we able to check and see how many villages Haitch is on at this point? He's been able to secure his South Sea completely.
Kynasie's on 10 fishing boats, and Haitch is on 18 fishing boats now that there's a couple of fishing boats out of the dock. 3 fishing boats. Okay, 3 fishing boats in the dock. They still have their anti-ship damage versus fishing boats, which, fishing boats are classed as villages, so an outpost can't do that, but a dock with villagers garrisoned inside can.
Isn't that so frustrating, just watching that happen? It's like, oh my gosh, that is so annoying. But we see Haitch is dropping another dock down on the north side as well. 2 explorers battling it off. Are we going to see the Ottoman explorer come out from Kynesie, or are we going to see Haitch's explorer on the Portuguese? Who is going to be victorious? I can't remember exactly what the Portuguese explorer says as it dies. Who's going to win? Who's going to win the duel? Oh no, not Haitch. ¿Cuál es su comando? What do they say? I think that's probably pretty close.
Wait, you got a completely different one to what I had. Oh, because I was on Haitch's point of. No, you were watching my stream. Yeah, that was. Don't worry, what you said was not what I heard, but doesn't matter. But more importantly, though, this villager from Haitch is actually getting picked off, but he's got to win the fight versus Kynesie. I don't even know why we're watching so much time on Explorer Combat. I'm sure there's more interesting things to find. But
no, there's not. Go back. No, I'm just kidding. Look at all these docks. It's like, they wrote a song about Rack City, but I think they're going to have to re-release that song and call it Dock City, because right now it's Dock City, baby. Look at these docks. It's insane.
All right, so Kynasie's agent on the 700 coin shipment agent with the Admiral of the Ocean Sea, so an extra 400 wood and a galley, but I'm not too sure where he's going to have this galley. I don't think he'll send it to the South Sea anymore. I mean, he could send it to the South Sea to be annoying and trying to fend off all these fishing boats. Looks like we've got Caravel fishing as well. That's quite a good use of a Caravel when there's nothing else going on for the time being. He has moved his home city flag back to the north side, but quite a slow age up here for Kynesie, suggesting he's not really going to go for a timing push in the third age. I think Kynesie is just going to try and drop down multiple town centres and allow the auto villager generation ability of the Ottomans to really kick into overdrive with multiple town centres. Looking at his deck, he does have the covered wagon shipments, so he can drop a 4th town centre if he chooses to.
Kynesie going for the build. It's looking good. I think Kynesie's made the right decision in somewhat forfeiting the South Sea. At this point, I think his best option is to try and gather as much as he can from the fish in the South Sea and avoid investing any further infrastructure. Against Portuguese especially, you're not going to be able to win that one. So I think he's making the right decision in shipping his galley to the north, and ideally he just wants to be shutting down this boom coming out from Haitch on the North Sea, because Haitch has got how many fishing boats has he got up there on the north now? Looks like about 10.
On the north side, probably about 10. Enough to force a reaction from Kynesie, but I think Haitch has decided to not overcommit. But look at this though, advanced dock. So actually, Haitch is looking to lock down and secure large chunks of this north coast, while it's definitely securing total dominance on the south. I don't think that we'll see Kynesie go for the same shipment. He's actually sending the frigates to the North Pond as well, instead of going for an upgrade at this point. Frigates versus advanced dock. I don't actually know the range of the 2 units. I think the advanced dock outranges a frigate.
It does. It ranges it by quite a large part. That's amazing to see Haitch actually ship in advanced dock and time it just perfectly with the frigate as well. How long until that advanced dock comes in? Are we going to be able to see this? This is going to be disgusting.
It's in 135 siege range attack, up to 202 with a few more boats in. 32 range versus 30 range. This frigate is taking full volleys, and actually this galley is firing at the wrong dock. But once one dock goes down, the fishing boats, they just get into the second dock and rinse and repeat until these boats are cleaned up at the moment. Kynesie is following up with a covered wagon and 5 Aegis guns on the land, so starting to get some sort of land control here, but outpost being dropped behind for an extra 100 range attack, and I think this is a strong position for Haitch, and he's really got this anti-water play build order down to a T, it looks like.
Yeah, this is incredibly impressive. I'm absolutely loving the play style coming out from Haitch. It looks like he's taken a lot of notes out of Kynesie's book, but we see the Abascuns, or the Abascuns, moving out towards the North Shore, and that's the problem with Advanced Dock. It does great against enemy boats, but doesn't do so well against enemy land units. So the Haitch is trying to put down that third dock now, and the villager is safely in that outpost. He's managed to get that outpost up on the shoreline. It's amazing to see that Haitch is now on 75 villagers. It's a huge villager count. We're not even 11 minutes into the game, but he's just been booming his heart out. He's pulled ahead in score as well. So I would definitely be saying at this point in time, Haitch looks like he's well ahead in this game. He's going to have that third town center that'll be going down right now. He's also getting out the frigate, and he's guaranteed to have secured his South Sea. That is all but out of the question at this point. The question is now just really with the North Sea, and is he going to be able to defend the North Sea and maintain his hold here? And I suspect that he will, because the docks are going to prevent any ships coming in, and the frigates are going to prevent any land units from coming close to the docks. So it's sort of like he's got an ability here to control both areas with this single line. But we can see his frigate starting to move out now on the hunt. The second frigate coming out from Kynesie as well. I don't know. How do you feel about this? Is this a bit too much of an investment from Kynesie? Or does he realize that he needs to commit to the water?
He needs to commit to the water and kick Haitch off the water. However, the fact that Haitch has lots of fishing boats, a frigate, and an outpost, he has all the sides covered. He has the frigate to do with land units, he has the docks to do with naval units, outposts to receive any military shipments if he has to, and defend both the land and the sea. Let's look.
Harrison, sorry to interrupt you, but do you know what counters buildings really well?
Petards.
I'll give you another guess.
Pikemen? Grenadiers.
Okay, one. Oh, you're correct. It's Grenadiers. Congratulations, you've won, and so is Kynesie, because Kynesie's got the Grenadiers out. They're taking down this beautiful dock, and it won't be long until this dock's down. So who would have thought that H would lose a game to Grenadiers?
Well, do you want me to counter back and say, look at Ottoman's villager population. He has 3 town centres producing villagers for free. That is very cute. He's got 17 fishing boats, and that means he's only got 24 or 26 regular villagers now. If you go on to H's point of view, he's up to 84 villagers and going to the 4th age. 84 villagers at 12:30. What is this?
Look, I think that H has definitely taken a note out of Kynesie's book on this one. I think Kynesie... I'm curious why he didn't actually go for a Port Mirror, but I think that he's definitely done well. I just don't think he expected H to be doing this well. H is pulling ahead on score. He's up 8,000 score at this point, despite losing that frigate there. But it looks like he might be able to take out this frigate. Does he get the shot off? Or it gets off, but the frigate does survive. And on the South Shore, we do see that he is, in fact, cleaning up his own shore. That'll be game over down on the South, won't it? So that's... I'm very excited by the Grenadiers.
I think what the problem with what Kynesie had was he first went with Abus guns and realised, well, he couldn't kill the villager, he couldn't sit underneath the outpost, and they weren't really good siege units versus the docks. They only did well versus the fishing boats, but that wasn't really the problem. So Kynesie then had to train Grenadiers, and remember, these are only colonial units, and they're good. They're not great, though. They certainly take a while to take down buildings, but not really solving the problem at the moment, which he needs a very fast answer to. H is up. He's up by nearly, 10,000 points or 9,000 points. First shipment likely to be a factory, but it's just the villagers he has on the land. That's the really important one. Once all the fishing boats are cleaned up, or the fish, he's still got that land eco to boom on.
I've got another question for you. I asked this question earlier in the stream, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. What counters buildings that is not Grenadiers?
Oh my god, I just see some petards. I said petards last time.
You did say petards last time, and you said petards last time. I'll call that a victory.
Yeah.
It's the petards. The petards are coming out. This is a game right here. This is a game. I'm so excited by this. I can't believe we're seeing Grens and petards in the same game in a semi-final in the ESOC Challenge Cup. Oh my, what is this? This is the definitive edition. This is crazy. Where are those petards? I know that some are already out on the map. Has he just plonked them down on a dock or something like that?
Where would they be? If I was H, I'll drop a petard artillery foundry close to where the action is, and that's where it is, north side, about to basically nuke these tower centers for free, because all the Janissaries are more interested in taking down the dock and outposts. And you see how much Kynesie really, really wants to take down his docks and outposts. Well, he's got to basically forego his town centers, and was it 5 petards for a town centre and a couple of dragoons just finish him off? You could say cost effectively that goes in favour of Kynesie, but yeah, Haitch's eco is miles ahead of Kynesie here, and Kynesie just doesn't have the time or the resources to basically replenish these town centres, and just Haitch exerting total dominance. Another 2 frigates on the sea, and there's still 2 advanced docks with about 9 fishing boats in. This dock's doing 200 range attack versus a frigate with only 1 upgrade on it, and that is the naval combat card, buffing both the attack and HP, but still, carded boats, no match for advanced docks.
Yeah, don't tell the developers, but advanced dock is actually bugged at the moment. So advanced dock gives a 100% bonus against ships, and then it also gives a 50% bonus against ships as well. So that's why they're doing so much bloody damage. They are just absolutely intense. But it looks like Kynesie's actually been able to clean up the docks on the north-hand side here. So hopefully he'll be able to finally fish in peace. But we do see Haitch's mortars now actually heading down to the bayonets, the machetes of the Janissaries as they clean them up. But Haitch is beginning the Dragoon spam, the infinite Dragoon spam.
It's not yet to... Oh, Haitch doesn't even have whale oil in his deck. I was surprised to not see that card, but it doesn't matter, though. I think he sent both his factories by now. Yes, the second factory is being built, and once those guys go into upgraded coin, Haitch will have all the resources he needs to pump out many, many Dragoons. Soon to be Genet Dragoons, but he's currently now sending the Genitals upgrade. Hasn't yet sent Dragoon Combat, but that will likely follow behind. And the Ottoman civilization, notoriously weak versus Dragoon-style units. And
yeah, well, what does Kynesie do against Dragoons that are going to be fully upgraded Genets? It's especially considering he's down in age. He's lost he's lost a single town center. He's probably going to lose the second one here. And Kynesie calling it with the GG right here and signing out. Just Haitch tying up the series 1-1. Wow. I tell you what, if you would ask chat right now, chat, what do you think the chances are that Haitch wins the first game on land and Kynesie wins the second game on water? And chat would say like 99%. Can you believe it's been the other way? Can you believe it's been the other way?
I'm glad we didn't do any betting onto the stream, because that would have been a bit... we would have seen some funny results there.
We definitely would have. We would have seen 99% on Haitch for the land map and 99% on Kynesie for the water map. But Kynesie heading into the third map with a bit of an advantage now. He's lost the second game, which means he'll be able to pick his civilization last, and he's going to be able to counterpick Haitch on the next map. Jeez, what a game. It was just action-packed, action everywhere. Haitch just really doing so well, just securing the South Sea there, making sure that the fight was on the North Sea, and that really is all that he needed. So, yeah, impressive stuff.
Yeah, let's look at the timeline, and I think one thing I would look at is that villager count, and you see that the Ottoman player going for a water boom gets a couple of units out, very nice, goes to the Fortress Age. But meanwhile, look at Haitch's like quadruple dock spam, and with 2 docks on the south, 2 docks on the north, was able to control both sides. And I always remember a phrase that Wicked Cossack always said was, you never just build 1 dock, you always build 2, because you can't break 2 docks from the water. You can send a frigate, but the fishing boats can garrison in 1 dock, and if that dock goes down, great, you go into another dock, that's all fine. But just for the extra secondary dock, Haitch just had so much control on the water and was able to get so much eco out behind it. And I think just it was a buildable victory over Kynesie, which you don't often get to say that on the water map. And I think just how would this game be different if both players had a gentleman's agreement? Kynesie saying, okay, you have the South Sea, I'm going to take full North Sea, deny you from going onto the water at all, and then eventually I'll have 4 town centres generating units for free behind this. And yeah, but that doesn't work though versus Portuguese, because late game scaling, like we just talked about, the Genet Dragoons, I think Kynesie really had to fight both sides of the water, but just lost both sides, really.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I'm curious what he could have done differently. I think perhaps if he'd put his first dock a little bit further down the coastline and really tried to huddle in there, like maybe, putting on an outpost or two behind there and just really trying to keep the fight in, maybe even walling in his own coastline from the beginning of the game. I often see people do that on this map where they wall their own coastline to prevent any docks going down from the enemy players. So maybe that could have been something that he looked at. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a tough game, but well played to both players, and congratulations, Haitch, for the winning the second game.
Yeah, all resources gathered there, not even close.
Oof. Yeah, geez, looks like Haitch is playing Sweden right there.
That's more than twice the amount versus Kynesie, and quite a lot of those resources Kynesie had to spend were in those grenadiers, those Abus guns, multiple frigates, just trying to take down some docks with a couple fishing boats in. It's incredible how strong a couple docks, an outpost, and a frigate work well together as an unbreakable trio. And yeah, so the score after 2 games is 1-1, and we will be moving on to the third game. And the third game, let's see what that map will be. It is going to be on Florida, so a second water map to follow straight after Malaysia. And we've seen that Haitch has now won with the Portuguese. Kynesie can still counter pick Haitch now, depending on what Haitch picks, because Haitch won that last game. Do you think we'll see some more water play from Kynesie?
Something tells me if it's a water map, Kynesie's going to be pulling out the boats. I've just got this little feeling that Kynesie isn't going to... He's not the kind of guy to ignore water. Though I did actually see Kynesie play a game on Baja California where he didn't go water. So who knows? But my suspicion is we'll see him pull it out.
Right, let's go into the third game. Don't worry, Drongo. I'm on top of the overlay this time. And so we'll spawn into game number 3. And I see some Indians here from Haitch. No surprise to see India from Haitch at some point in the series, playing India in every single of the previous series so far that I've seen. Kynesie, here come the Portuguese. And I think now we'll see a proper masterclass on the water when there's only one sea to fight for.
Yeah, I think we're going to see probably Kynesie going for a 10-10 here is my suspicion. So probably we'll pick up hunting dogs and then avoid spending any of his starting resources on anything but villages, trying to get that really quick age up in, and then shipping 700 wood as his first age 2 shipment as soon as he reaches the second age. H is already out on the map, though, with these Indian explorers scouting out, taking these sheep away from Kynesie. When he does this, it means that... And look, Kynesie's shooting at him, saying, hey, come back, that's my sheep! That's my sheep! Give it back, H! It's only a sheep, but by doing that, it prevents Kynesie from aging up all that little bit faster because the sheep now belong to India rather than to Kynesie. And it's so important that Kynesie has those sheep because it enables him to age up that extra little bit quicker. And we do actually see, as a result of that, Kynesie has reacted by dropping down the house. He realizes he's lost the sheep, and now he drops down a house and says, you know what, I can't go 10-10 anymore. I'm gonna have to build villages.
Yeah, he's only got one sheep under his control. The thing one knows about Haitch was he's moving out on the map very early with his explorers to get and try and find as many of these sheep as possible. You got to remember, as the Indian player, you want the livestock for yourself, as the sheep generate experience points for you. You can't eat them, you generate extra experience points. But he ran past a stray dog treasure by 2 alligators. He ran past 100 food by 1 outlaw blowgunner. And there was just no way that Haitch could really take this treasure because the Indian explorers, they're just not designed to deal with high HP units, really. They don't have a crack shot ability like the Portuguese explorer does. So Haitch basically had to give up that really, really strong treasure in the middle of the map and is now working on 90 coin by 2 alligators. It's not really going to help him in the first stage, but he does have a market already down given that it is Florida, so I suppose there's some use here. I see a schooner's being sent in from Kynesie, checking his deck. Oh, another water deck here, advanced docks, schooners, whale oil, rendering plant. Team Coastal Defences is another card which you can stack on top of advanced dock as well, and those two cross multiply, so with both those cards in action, good luck breaking that defensive nut that Kynesie will form onto the likely onto the coast, and maybe we might not even see any more buildings being thrown up here, and he might just slowly migrate all his units down to the coast. Not many tree lines on the coast, though. This is probably the safest tree line get, but it's quite far down. This back tree line, that's very nice for Kynesie, actually. I think he'd be very happy to see that.
Yeah, that's a very safe tree line. It does somewhat spawn a little bit randomly on this map. You can't always be guaranteed to have a beautiful tree line, but yeah, that one definitely looks safe. Are we able to just take one more look at Haitch's deck? I'm curious what he's going to pull out for the counter here.
We certainly can.
We haven't seen him send a villager forward yet to drop down an aggro. We actually see, as I say that, we see the aggro going down on the coast. That's huge. We also have the advanced dock for H. He's got the age to improved warships, plenty of shipments for boats. So
there's actually so much to talk about this deck, because there's no Yurumi hit in this deck. There's no 3 Mahouts. He's got 2 siege elephants. He's got 3 siege elephants in the 4th age, 2 frigates in the 4th age, double shipments in the 3rd age, naval combat, advanced dock. He does have rendering plant, but I think H really wants to be playing aggressive water with warships over economy a water player and trying to go for fishing boats. But like we saw last game, fishing boats in docks is essentially your pseudo naval presence on the water. It's so strong, and Kynesie said, right, nah, mate, I want this middle of the map control. I'm going to drop a dock right in the middle of the map, and you cannot deny that dock. Where H is saying, no, I want middle control. I'm dropping an aggro fort right in the middle of the map, and it's just, we're going to leave this camera here in this little box for the next 40 minutes, I imagine. I expect every bit of action is going to form around this little area. And
yeah, well, I think that's until the siege elephants come. Once the siege elephants come, I think it's going to be GG. The siege elephants are just going to do so much work. I feel as when you're playing India on water maps and you've got the siege ellies, you are just, they're so potent. They're so difficult to deal with because they're so flexible. They're able to move in and out. They're just a very agile unit, a very agile artillery unit. But I guess there's another thing I wanted to point out, and that's finally a real water map. So we don't have that 2-pond bullshit that is an auto win for port. Can't wait to watch some actual RTS talent take on the water. This is an easy win for Kynesie, in my opinion.
I've just seen that in the chat, just multiple copy and pastes. I'm interested to see. It looks like that the aggro fort only does a ranged bombard attack versus the fishing boats of 25 ranged damage. So basically, only scratching these fishing boats. We did see the last game that the advanced docks with fishing boats inside do full anti-ship bombard damage versus fishing boats, but it looks like the aggro fort's a little bit more friendly to the fishing boats. And actually, this forward position of the aggro fort doesn't look as intimidating as I once thought.
It's almost just like I'm just keeping watch, just making sure that these deer here are safe. It's definitely okay. All right. So if anybody was wondering, do we need to do an IP check here? No, there's no need to do an IP check. I can assure you, Kynesie is playing on this account. That is definitely Kynesie. I recognize those walls anyway. Look at those things.
Drongo dropping the banter already in game number 3 of the IP check. That's a hot topic, Drongo. A bit of banter, though, nice to see.
There's definitely no need. I mean, those walls, you recognize them anywhere. You see those. I remember when I visited France back when I was 18 years old, I saw walls like that. I said, Kynesie's been here. And it's definitely, they're iconic, aren't they?
I just got to turn one thing. Oh no, it's all fine. Sorry, let's carry on. I just noticed something on my end, but we're all good to carry on.
All right.
We do see 2 train boats here from Kynesie. Haitch is taking a single training post. I think it more of just anticipation of Haitch trying to steal this one and going for a stagecoach play himself. We do see rendering plant coming in from Kynesie, and his second shipment was the 700 wood. I thought there may have been a chance of him sneaking into 2 caravels, but I suppose the aggro fort's not the greatest versus fishing boats, but it's certainly very strong versus naval warships. So Kynesie's just going, right, I'm just going to make fishing boats, garrison in my docks. I might not actually make any caravels on this game.
Yeah, I would be surprised to see him ship or make any caravels. Really, the burden in this matchup is placed on H to stop the fishing boom. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, for Kynesie to stop H from taking water or being able to do that. We can see that H is actually dropping down a castle here on the shoreline as well, which tells me that we may potentially see some big siege jellies coming out. I'm excited, but we also see the caravels coming in now as well. The caravels are going to be able to clean up a little bit of these fishing boats, not necessarily do much damage, but just going to sort of idle Kynesie here. And Kynesie, I'm curious whether we're going to see that advanced dock card come in to respond to this, now that he is aware that H is out on the water. Normally, we would see at this point that Kynesie would opt for 700 coin or whale oil.
He's sending it.
He's going for he's going for advanced dock, which is what my suspicion was.
Oh,
so I think that be a bit more of
that Caravel just dodged a shot there. That's quite.
It did.
Yeah.
How is that even legal? How did he do that?
Just cross your fingers and pray to Gardra, I guess. But I'm interested to see if this actually could be a legit strategy or if this is a full-blown meme. Castles, they do produce siege elephants, which is absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, Haitch is still in the second age, but they do produce flail elephants, which are certainly anti-building units, and Kynesie hasn't really got any naval presence, and there's a couple of caravels here from Haitch just patrolling the coast, and it'd been interesting to see if iron flails actually, or not iron flails, flail elephants is a potential.
I would be so excited to see flails. Could you imagine in a semi-final we see grenadiers, petards, and flail elephants? You know, have you heard the sound that a flail elephant makes?
It's
Would you like to hear the sound that a flail elephant makes?
No, the best way to describe it is probably the sound of two foxes mating. Possibly, it's not a pleasant sound.
Yeah, I would say that is an accurate description. Yes.
I'm not even lying when I say that. It's I suppose the elephants don't like being chained up and headbutting the building, but you know.
No, they definitely do not. But I'm looking forward to potentially seeing some. But I do suspect with Haitch shipping in the 700 coin that we're not going to be able to see some. I think that he's probably going to be heading up to the third age very, very shortly, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him just whip out like six of those big bad elephants with giant cannons on their backs. I'd be curious how Kynesie would respond to that, because one of the big things is that India's got this window before Portugal can really take off, because over the next 2 to 3 minutes, Portugal is going to be pumping out villages from both of its town centers. It's going to be popping out a whole bunch of fishing boats from its docks, and that's going to need time for it to pay off. And in the meantime, H has got these caravels out here forcing Kynesie to idle, forcing him to sort of be reactive, not letting him just willy-nilly boom and build what he wants. And as a result, it means H is buying himself more time. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see just like quite literally 5 or 6 siege elephants out and just H just steamrolling all the way up the coast. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what you got.
You can see how he's slowly pushing his dock, but Kynesie is very wise to hit that repair button just to get back to full health. 90 siege damage in the dock because there's only 4 fishing boats in there, but still enough to keep these caravels with only 800 HP at bay. Looks like H, though, is probably going to be the first person to get to that Fortress Age. I did see him stacking resources, and he's aging up now. Aging up with the Tower of Victory instead of the Charmanide Gate, and that will provide him 800 wood on the age up, as well as the Inspiration ability, and that buffs your unit's attack, HP, and speed by 10% for a period of about 15 seconds, I believe. But choosing to not age up here with the Mahout Lancer and the ability to train Man-Sabdar units, maybe saving that for a 4th age play here. Kynesie's aging up behind, though, or soon to be, but he's quite slow in aging up due to the amount of idle time on the water that's been going on. Yeah, I got a funny story in between the next game, and I'll talk about that funny story afterwards. Something's just happened outside, but I think I know what it is.
Well, I hope that everything's okay at your place, because it's definitely not okay in Florida at the moment. I can tell you that much. Because Kynesie's dropping down another dock on the shoreline. He is prepping himself. He said, "All right, H is aged up. He's reached the 3rd age. Probably going to be some frigates coming in. So I'm going to have to drop another dock, and I'm going to ship advanced coastal defenses. Is it team advanced coastal defenses?
Yes,
what we've
yes,
got?
it is.
Yes, to assist even further. So there's just look at the docks that we got. This is someone asked me what is a dock push. This is a dock push right here. This is exactly what it looks like. We've got the first round of siege elephants coming out, taking their first shots off on Trinidad. The Kynesie caravel looks like it manages to get away with its tail wagging between its legs, but Kynesie just being very unfortunate in that docks only have the ability to shoot at enemy ships, And siege elephants are not ships. Unlike their counterpart, the sea elephant, also known as the caravel, which is pushing up the coastline. Be careful, H. Be very careful with your ships, my friend. Those docks right there, those are fighting docks.
But the thing is, elephants can actually swim. I mean, in real life, not in this game. But just imagine if these siege elephants could go on water with their siege cannons on the top. That would be some funny sights to behold. But this slow push from Haitch is working very well. Getting that earlier age up. A frigate is on the water for Haitch as well. He's now sending his own frigate. So he's training one frigate, sends in a frigate, researching armor plating to give his units extra HP. But it's the siege elephants that really putting on the pressure here because the docks can't touch them. Kynesie doesn't have any units to touch the siege elephants, and even if he does have a couple of dragoons or castadors or hussars or anything, there's enough regular sepoys here to defend that. I'm sure H at some point will drop barracks and upgrade them, but doesn't actually need to. It's a couple of musketeers, it's just to protect them, but it's the siege elephants doing the work. Frigates pushing down. Kynesie, he's only got one dock, but he's thrown up a second dock, but you can see how a slow push is it's restricting Kynnesie's access to the water. And before he had half the sea and half the resources under his control, he's only now pushed down to the back third, which only contains one whale at the moment. So only 4 villagers on coin, and the rest of the food will get eaten up very, very quickly here.
That's exactly it. It's a very linear push that's occurring here. We're just pushing up the water. It's not like in the previous game on Malaysia, where it's a much more different game. Here it's just very linear. We've got this cohesive push that's just consistently going up. We've got all of these idle fishing boats just hanging out, unfortunately not being able to throw down their nets anywhere.
We have a caravel containing 2 culverines play here from Kynesie, so he wants to try and move in, drop them off, snipe off the elephant, get them back in, run away. But if the frigate pops off onto the caravels, that could be very expensive. Okay, he's got to try and get the culverins off unpacked. They spawn unpacked and get back in. But that caravel is nearly dead. So I think actually he wants to focus down the caravel. Okay, there's a frigate in support there. You see the culverins trying to focus down the elephants, but there's enough sepoys here as well. And one culverin's going to make his hastily escape into the frigates. But both siege elephants are still up. And, you know, you could have these elephants, the fat monk, and another...
Oh, from downtown! Oh my god, that siege elephant shot in the caravels there. Sorry to interrupt you there, Harrison, but I just watched on my screen just siege Ellies just fucking snipe this caravel from downtown. It was like Kobe, just like Kobe. It was huge. Holy moly. I apologize. Whew, I got myself a little bit worked up here.
You get very easily excited there, but that is just showcasing the lock-on ability of once a unit is locked on. If that unit still remains in line of sight of allied units, but out of the range of the unit which has the lock on, it still actually sometimes fires. So you can sometimes get to see some very long-range shots happening across the map. But all the fishing boats now idle. We have 20 fishing boats in the dock, 225 damage from that dock due to the advanced dock. It is capped off at a maximum of 225, so there is some sort of maximum damage output. But the 2 frigates with the upgrade, 3,000 HP. Those 2 siege elephants still alive, but he's keeping them away from the frigates now. I think H realises he can overpower the water from just using water. He wants to keep these units for anti-building purposes. They're actually going to move back in for basically the frigate snipe. And
oh, is it going to go down? Is it going to go down? There's so many vills in there. I thought the siege elephants were going to take it from downtown again, but it looks like the frigate is able to get the villagers out there safely with 151 HP, barely making it out. But isn't Haitch just doing a wonderful job just cleaning this up? He's just... And we see Kynesie attempting to drop down another dock right here. But Kynesie also shipping in colonial militia, but it's coming in a little bit too late, unfortunately. It was something that we talked about in the first game, where if you leave colonial militia too late, often it can mean that you lose a town center before you even receive the shipment, and that's exactly what's happened here. If Kynesie was able to have colonial militia and do a nice big Minuteman pop directly on top of all of H's units, I don't know whether he'd be able to kill them all, but he'd definitely be able to stop this linear push that we're seeing, this progressive push that we're seeing up the coast.
H now just sending himself advanced warships, so these boats having armor plating as well as advanced warships for extra HP and attack buff, but there's only one more dock standing. There was a period of time where there was no docks, but all this fishing eco from Kynesie just not working, and there's no fish under his control, and looks like the GG has been called. And Drongo, I'm just going to chuck it onto I'm just gonna leave the screen here on the view map. Can you talk through the map? I need to check something in the real world.
All right. Good luck with the real world. So one of the things I wanted to talk about in that game, there was a lot of action with it, was the Culverin play from Kynesie. Now, obviously, Kynesie knew that Culverins counter siege elephants, but I don't think he realized just how poorly they counter siege elephants. We saw him drop the 2 Culverin on the shoreline, shoot the siege ellies, and then just kind of stare at the siege elephants for a little bit. I think I was just as confused as he was when the siege ellies just like took the shot to the face, and they're like, "What do you got? What's next? What's next, yo? What's next?" It is like it was just amazing to me. And then they took a second round of volleys to the face. Haitch was throwing in some cute little dodges, but it wouldn't have even mattered. Even if the shots connect, it just doesn't matter at all. And the reason why is because siege ellies are so bloody strong. They've got hundreds of HP, and I think to one-shot a siege elephant, you probably need like 5 or 6 Culverin shots. And so it's a lot of stuff. So I tell you what, guys, the score now, it's 2-1. Haitch has 2 victories, Kynesie 1 victory. Kynesie won on the land map, Haitch won on the water maps. Who the fuck predicted that? Sorry, who the hell predicted this? Sorry, I just remembered. We got children in the chat. Sorry for all the children at home. Who the hell predicted that? Not me. Is hell? Can I say hell? I wouldn't have predicted that. If I'm a gambling man, and I'm not, but if I was, I would have been saying like, Haitch would have been coming in at $1.13 on the land map, and he would probably be sitting at about $10 on the 2 water maps. But it seems like Haitch has really just pulled out the magic here. How you doing, Harrison? You all right there?
So I was reading this story. And I've known that it's been around, but the bomb squad has been in my city today, and I heard a massive boom during that game. I was like, "What on earth is that?"
Is it the siege ellies?
No, it was an actual. So they found a World War II unexploded device on the university campus when they're building some more accommodation blocks. A couple of builders have found that. So on the back of my mind, I knew that something was happening, but when you're busy casting, you hear this massive boom outside. You're thinking, "Oh my god, what's that? What's that?" Focus on the game. "Oh my god, what's that? What's that? What's that?"
Well, I know that they said that there's a lot of boomers in England, but I didn't realize the problem was that bad. So, jeez.
Oh, you absolute tease. But no, but it was actual. It's okay. I think they had about a 400-meter evacuation radius, and they had probably the Royal Navy dealing with that. So it was good to see that's under control. But something you need to. I was just having a bit of a he's saying focus on the casting, don't worry about explosions outside. getting those priorities straight. But it's okay. I knew it was controlled, so I wasn't going to start running like a headless chicken mid game, because that would be quite funny, wouldn't it?
Jeez, I tell you what that was a beautiful game. I think Haitch really just showing us there the window of the Portuguese water boom, and that it can be countered. That obviously. You just need to be incredibly talented. You need to go through months of training. You need to have rocky music playing before your game starts. And then once you've achieved all of those things, then you can actually beat Kynesie on water. But until you've done those things, it's very, very difficult.
Yes. So if you look at the village account, Kynesie always ahead, as he naturally would be with 2 town centre Portuguese in the second stage. But also train many, many fishing boats onto the sea. But if we go into the idle villagers tab, I'm sure just to round this off, you will see a very consistent area of basically of the graph where Kynnesie's idled, and this is just a sizable amount of his economy, always idled, always not working. Yeah. Where Haitch's economy, look how good that is. That's exceptionally good. There's always, and this accounts for villagers moving from one resource to another. So basically, Haitch had 0 hour time. Kynesie was probably unable to get off any raids on the land, and Haitch was able to just continuously gather. And
look at that idle villager graph. It looks like military pop. It's crazy. The idols just aren't even going down. They just keep going up and up and up. It's horrendous. I feel so sorry for Kynesie. It's one of those tough games that you play, and it feels bad, man. It feels bad, man.
Oh, I got to do the score because I've been distracted, and it's no, it's not that. It's Haitch is leading 2-1 versus Kynesie, and let us move on into the third game. And even Wicked Cossack was saying, focus on the explosions in the game as well. So we should. Zenobi saying Harrison's trying to tell some real life petard stories. It's good to see a sense of humour in the chat as well.
Yes, don't mind the explosions outside.
Because my first thought actually was not the actual explosion, was my parents' reaction to the explosion if they had known about it already online. Because I'm quite informed. You can see all these stories online. I don't know if my mum and dad had noticed it or whatsoever, because they could be going, oh my god, what's going on? I'm like, oh my god, what do I tell them? But I'm busy doing this. Do I need to help them or what? But no, cool, it's all cool. We can move on to game number 4.
So we're moving into the map Sonara, an interesting map, a map that's been out of the competitive scene for many, many years, but it's made a return here, along with the likes of maps such as Deccan. And what was the other interesting map? Great Plains is also one that was an inclusion in the map pool. So exciting to see Sonara back on the map pool. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty good game. In the north, we've got Haitch on the French. And Haitch is famous for his French, not necessarily because he plays them well, but because he speaks it very fluently. Bonjour, je m'appelle Haitch, j'habite London. And in the south of the map, we've got Kynesie. Kynesi's looking mighty fine, as he always does. He's playing as the Japanese. Kynesie also famous for his Japanese play. Unfortunately, Kynesie does not speak Japanese, so I can't say anything Japanese like Kynesie would. But I'm sure that in this game, Kynesie's going to be pulling out the big stops. We actually see that Kynesie's already dropping down 2 shrines. Kynesie is going for the Tory build. Let's see it in the chat. I don't actually know what we'd be seeing in the chat, but let's see some sort of hype, because Kynesie's doing the Tory build on Sonara. I'm curious what we're going to see. Are we going to see 2 villages into 600 wood, 300 export into the Daimyo? Are we going to see the Lil Bao build? Is that what we're going to see? Or are we going to see something a little bit more passive? What do you reckon?
There's so many words I would have different pronunciations to. I'd say Lil Bo instead of Lil Bao. I'd say Daimyo instead of Daimyo. I'd say, I don't know what else.
How would you say bonjour?
Bonjour.
There you go. It's the little things, isn't it?
I mean, there's no right way to pronounce, because everybody's writing their own pronunciation, so it doesn't really matter. But it was quite funny, and I was trying to not lose myself when you was doing your French intro to Haitch, and then just drop the London. And like, he doesn't live in London, but it's just so funny. It's just so funny. Listen, oh, look at this wall segment here. Kynesie would be very proud of that. That's a beautiful 0 wood wall segment there. That's probably the best wall or cliff I've ever seen on a map before, and quite a few times we do see some very awkward cliff walling across this way, denying access to the north side of the map and the trading post. But it looks like has scouted out the 2 shrines, even dropping it in the chat saying, 2 shrines, eh? What are you up to?
Yeah, calling him out straight away. That's definitely... I think there's a little bit of metagaming going on here. Metagaming. The idea is that... So, Haitch has spotted him pulling out the 2 shrines, so he knows that he's going to be going for opening with the Tory gates. But by Haitch saying, I've spotted your two shrines, I know you're going with the Tory gates. Now Kynesie's kind of like stuck in this thing, like, well, should I be going for the Tory gates now that he knows that I'm going to do it? He's going to know that how to counter it. What should I do here? But we can see he's sending the 2 vills. He hasn't switched it up to the Kami. He could have very easily just switched it to Kami. I'd be curious to see his deck. Does he actually have Kami in deck?
No, he sent 2 vills first card. Oh no, he does have Kami, yeah, of course. And the thing is, you kind of want to have some extra cards in the first stage, not for the sake of you ever wanting to send them, just so your opponent has a little bit of a guessing game of what you do want to send. But I think Haitch is thinking, well, if you're going to send 2 shrines, you're not going to then send Kami afterwards to have cheaper shrines without even...
That's why I have 3 Hussars in my Swedish deck, because as you know, it's illegal to make cavalry with Sweden, but you just keep that in your deck, just in case your opponent thinks, oh, maybe you'll make a stable or something like that. So, yeah, I think you're 100% on the money there. I would have actually liked to have seen him switch it up. I think that with Haitch's metagames, saying that he'd scouted it, I would have liked to have seen him go for the Kami instead and sort of shift into the Toshogu Shrine build, but and then maybe dropping down that Consulate in transition. But I guess it's a little bit harder to do. It's probably not something that would be super duper easy. You probably lose a lot of tempo doing that as well. So maybe it's just not viable for him to do. But have a look how beautiful these resources are in base for Kynesie. He's got huge clumps of trees that are available to him. He's got trees right underneath the TC, which is interestingly has prevented this coin mine from being quite easily accessible. I'm curious whether he's going to be able to get to that coin mine or not.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Part of the rules state that a player can call for a map rehost for map-related issues in the absence of a caster. Well, spoilers. These games are, they were actually played yesterday, so we're not fully live. But obviously, the casting is live. So Kynesie was in his rights if he wanted to call a rehost. Having double forward coin mine with one coin mine completely blocked off by trees you can't walk through, I would be fully supportive if Kynesie wanted to call for a rehost. And if Haitch moves in with French aggression, which I did see a forward building, but it's actually a forward market, maybe just trying to throw off a bit of Kynesie scouting a forward villager and him pulling back. Yeah, this is not an ideal spawn, especially having 2 coin mines forwards, and it's an option players. The rehosting option is available to players if they so choose. But I think also Kynesie might say on evaluation, actually, I have my berries behind my town centre and a very nice defensive wood line as well, and no obnoxious cliffs on my right hand side. So on balance, I would take this map.
And so one of the interesting things is Kynesie's actually not pulling out the Lil Bow build. Lil Bow, the Lil Bow build. He's not going for the 600 wood opening. He's actually opening straight up with the 5 Ashigaru. He's going to be applying this pressure nice and early. We're at 4 minutes 45 at the moment. Well, by the time you guys hear this, it'll probably be 4 minutes 52. That's what my guess is. But the Ashigaru have already arrived. We've got 2 Ashigaru in queue, and it looks like we're going to begin applying that early pressure out. So it doesn't look like we're going to be hitting that timing push. Probably going to start sieging down that forward market. I know Haitch loves his forward market. Something that we've seen him do time and time again. It wouldn't be a Haitch game unless there was a forward market in it, but it does look like the forward market isn't going to be long for this world.
But it's okay though, he's already got his steel traps, so he's also as a result got his placer mines and his hunting dogs, and if he's really feeling that he wants to replace it, he can just buy 100 wood before this goes down. But I think it's the time is in Haitch's favour, because Kynnesie's gone for an aggressive build here as the Japanese a slightly lower eco build, but Haitch has been playing as a French. Full CDB first card, upgraded villagers from the market, now sent into wood shipments, so he wants to throw down some infrastructure, and then spend that woods to get out a larger mass. Haitch wants to kind of push this infantry mass back as long as possible, and even the extra 10-15 seconds that has bought could allow Haitch to take this on with an extra batch of musketeers. I don't agree with him engaging this early, and yes, he's going to back off at this point and keep these musketeers nice and healthy for when Kynesie really does jam his units in to the French player's base.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about going with the Tory Gates is that obviously you're going to have increased XP gain from killing enemy units. And so I would be saying to Haitch, hey Haitch, don't even fight. Try and avoid fighting at all costs. Just because any fighting that you do, any trading that you're going to do, is going to be at your disadvantage. Obviously, if you're losing your TP, you're probably going to need to apply some sort of pressure out there. You're going to want to try and dance with Kynesie as much as possible, prevent him from sieging. But ideally, you want to avoid fighting him head on, because if he's going to start trading with you, he's going to be trading much more efficiently than you, because he's going to be getting those shipments a lot sooner than you will. Haitch now dropping down that second market that we see. This is the classic H2O second market play. Now, normally H2O would be building this second market at the same time as his first market is up as well. But H2O, or I guess in this game, H has actually lost his first market, so I don't really know if we could call it the H2O market. But
the amount of times I've seen players of all abilities, whether they're relatively new, they're intermediate, or they're top 20 players you consider pro, who have built a second market on Florida without even realizing it, and then they start researching text and thinking, I've got 2 markets now. What's this play? So it's happens to the best of us, but I think in this case, Haitch just wants that second market down to maybe just to buy some resources and allow him that flexibility in rebalancing his eco in times of crisis.
Indeed, I agree. He is definitely flexing on us. Oh, flexibility. Yes, I agree. Allowing, flexibility. But we do start to see a lot of crossbows pushing out from Haitch. He definitely seems keen to be playing this H2 style. Also shipping the 700 coin behind this, so not neglecting his age up also. But I really like the response that's come out here. He has handled the early aggression from the Tory Gates incredibly well. He hasn't fought with the Tory Gates either. I don't think he's lost a single unit, has he? With the exception of that market.
Well, he's still got, he's still got 15 musks, so that's 3 batches of 5. He's got 13 crossbows. That's the 8 shipment plus the 3. Yeah, he sent 8 bows. I think you're right in the sense he hasn't lost a military unit at the moment, and he's picked off the samurai. He's picked off one of the explorer monks. The other monk got poofed back to the town centre. If Kynesie lost this one as well, then any shrines that he would have wanted to make would have been built with villagers, and chances are you won't be getting onto any hunts in the base. I don't know where this villager's going. Is this villager going to shrine this hunt? He does have his explorer, which he could be using. Yeah, this villager's off to shrine, a far place where one of the monks can be used in that sense. But Haitch is larger eco. The Force CTP is paying off. The wood shipment's paying off. Now it's taking a trade. And yes, 12 XP for that one crossbow shipment, but the actual benefit of the Tory Gates hasn't really paid off this game. And I think you're absolutely correct in your assessment that Haitch kind of pulling back, not wanting to take these trades just yet, is in favour of himself. And why would he want to push now? He's aging up to the 3rd age with the Exiled Prince. Train a batch of musketeers in transition for safety reasons, but could then send, 2 falconets as his first shipment, and I would struggle to see how Kynesie will deal with that.
And that's my suspicion. I think he's going to be aiming to get a full batch of muskets out, research that veterancy, begin to push down, knock on Kynesie's door and say, hey, Kynesie, I'm age 3, I got 2 falconets, and I got a whole bunch of veteran musks. How are you going to act? How are you going to act? And we see that Kynesie now begins pushing across the map, realizing that that there is a window here for Kynesie to take a victory out, but he's going to have to do it very, very quickly because Haitch has now reached the 3rd age. He's almost going to have that shipment in. Veteran Musketeers is underway. He knows he's on a timer, but it looks like he's pulled back. He's decided that at this point in time, it's not reasonable for me to do that. So I'm curious, how is Kynesie going to react? Are we able to jump over to Kynesie's perspective? Let's see if he's macroing for a 3rd age potentially.
I'd say that he is. He's sent in 600 coin, not training too many units, but he does now start Naginata production, likely from his daimyo. Yeah, daimyo's training some Naginatas on the with the coin, and going to use remainder coin to maybe go for a 2nd batch at the moment. But Haitch now has his veteran musketeers. These are now stronger than the colonial Ashes, and not by much. But when Kynesie only has 9 Ashy Garus, French is repping 26 musketeers, now sending 2 falconets. And you're certainly going to need a lot of Naginatas to break this musketeer mass and get on top of the French cannons. Haitch has just got his well-rounded composition, and there's really no risk of losing the entire army. And Kynesie's basically hoping for a misplay from Haitch and trying to pick up those cannons for free if they're unprotected. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Haitch is so on the ball with his unit control and awareness. I'm sure Haitch has realised there's a daimyo on the field somewhere, but it's not with the army because there's no aura on his units. You can see the aura underneath the Japanese units. So it must be somewhere, and actually train Naginatas, and the Naginatas coming in for a potential raid, but they see the musketeers coming, and God, I thought those Naginatas would take a little bit longer, but no, that was actually that was nearly disaster for Haitch, but luckily units were nearby just in case, and Kynesie's going to back off, and yeah, well, now that Haitch is stabilised and Kynesie's supposedly doing the aggressive build, he's awkwardly got 800 food, 800 coin, doesn't know if he wants to age up or not age up. I think he's going to try and age up. Coin on the shrine, lots of villagers on the food.
I reckon by him putting those villagers in queue, I don't know if he's gone for an age up. I don't think... I think that Kynesie realises this push is going to come way too fast for him to be trying to age up. I think he needs to be training units. He's sending Heavenly Kami is the...
No, that's a misclick. He wants to be sending the enlisting regulars at the moment. That's what he really wants. So if he sees that, he'd be like, oh, hang on a minute, that's the wrong card to send.
Yeah,
because it does...
either that or he's going for a very late boom in age 2. But do we have... is that... what's going on with the falconets there? They're just sort of hanging out next to Kynesie's outpost.
We got double action. We got the infantry from Kynesie putting pressure on the French base, but I think there's just much more mass in Kynesie's base, and in a base trade war, I think Haitch will win here. Kynesie realises that he's losing units to the militia men, a couple of daimyos of low HP, only colonial Yumis, shipments from Haitch before afterwards will keep on rolling, and these cannons uncontested in the Japan player's base, and the castle goes down, sends in wrong shipments, and the tap out to GG happens. So Haitch now leading 3-1 after the fourth game.
We did see at the end that Kynesie had actually begun shipping in enlist regulars, so he did realize he was sending in the wrong card, but he just realized a little bit too late, unfortunately. So you can see, yeah, he was sending it there, but unfortunately, Heavenly Kami in 11 minutes 30 isn't really the best way to defend against two Falconets. You know, it's an interesting strategy. I'll give him that. But yeah, I think enlist regulars is going to be a lot more helpful. So yeah, very unfortunate misclick there from Kynesie.
You can just see nothing was really done by Kynesie, and by the time he was thinking about pushing, the 8 crossbows came in, and Kynesie had to back out, and up from about 5.5 minutes when the first unit comes out, Haitch takes his first unit loss at 8.5 minutes, so no extra XP there for Kynesie whatsoever. Yeah, there was a few bits of XP from picking off the market, picking off possibly the trading post until Haitch knocked him off there, but no real sizable increase in XP. And if we go to the XP total, I'm sure we'll see the French player ahead of that, and yeah, was quite ahead. Did Kynesie go for a trading post? I completely missed that. I don't think he did. That's just batches of units and building some buildings, I'd assume, but it's not as much as you'd expect. Do we know if the XP bonus also benefits training units, as in your batches? It looks like it may do, actually. It's quite.
I think it does, but I'm not sure.
No,
I really don't play Japan.
I mean, I know it does the kill thing. I'm going to look at the Torii Gates. It's still standing. Torii Gate ships a samurai and or a military rickshaw when built. Kami worship, which increases the experience point build bounty. So it does do experience point build bounty for training units and constructing buildings, and a bounty for defeating enemy units. So yes, it does basically grant you more experience points for training units, and the training units as well is where most of your XP would likely to come from, because most of the units from Kynesie were trained. I don't think Kynesie shipped too many units. Yeah, didn't send a Yumi shipment. Maybe he sent Ashy twice, but sent the Daimyo card as well. Sent 4 Vils. So yeah, it's a passive bonus, but I would have liked to have seen a few more trades or a bit more of a forward-thinking playstyle there from Kynesie, or shall I just say, just really nice micro and unit control from Haitch, from not being overly reactive to the pressure, and just kind of absorbing it, taking his time, and sending units out when he wants to. Right, let's go on to game number 5. Hazza leading 4-3. No, he's not leading 5-1. He's leading 3-1 at the moment. We're about to go into game number 5, and that we played on the Fertile Crescent. So another land map, but it's okay. Kynesie did win his game on the land map itself, so all hopes.
But unfortunately, he can only play Sweden once if he wins with Sweden. So he's not going to be able to pick Sweden in this game. Maybe H brings out the Sweden, the big S on the big H. I'd like to see that. What do we got, though? Let's take a look. Looks like spawning in the south of the map, we've got H on the British. That's going to be interesting to see. Looks like he's picking up a 50 coin treasure with his starting hunt, next to his starting TC. And in the north of the map, we've got Kynesie on the Inca. The Inca is a civilization he's been very comfortable with over the course of this tournament, playing it in every single series so far. So Kynesie not letting us down. But it is a land map, so we're not going to be seeing those lame Chincharaffs. We're going to be seeing those lame Chimus instead. So I'm looking forward to it. I think with the matchup itself is going to play out quite interestingly, just primarily because the way that Chimus are going to be running around, the Dragoons are going to be able to deal with them quite effectively. How do you feel about this matchup?
As a matchup, I don't fully know, but obviously H won the last game, so it was on him to pick his civilization for this map. I don't really know how I feel about playing as the British on Fertile Crescent, a map which is quite known for having pretty poor hunts. I think H can be quite happy with his spawn. His second hunt, somewhat close, forward of his base, but his third hunt, which is further away, which always is further away, safely behind his town centre, just on the other side of this river. Sometimes that third hunt can be spawning on the other side of the Sufi Mosque, quite far forward, so looks like H has got enough resources for the time being, and then as a result can get a sizable eco behind, not deciding to go for any Virginia company play this game, opening up with a marketing base. Not often do I see market from British players these days. Usually it's either the two manor houses or the Virginia company, but it looks like Haitch is just going to go in between the two of them and go for one manor house and one market. Meanwhile, Kynesie scouting down to the south of the map. What's he trying to see? Trying to go for a few treasures. I don't think he's trying to catch an explorer building a trading post. Most of the big treasures are usually in the middle of the map, actually, and it looks like Haitch is working on just the 40 wood. The only other treasure here is 50 food. Not a lot of big treasures on the map, actually. Quite usually expecting to see 100 food and 90 wood in the middle, or somewhere around. And it looks like the Inca player has already gone for his 4 villager research option in the first stage, and is already up to 13 villagers, sending 300 wood as card number 1.
Yeah, an interesting opening from Kynesie here. I think when it comes to the Inca meta, I think that there's still a little bit, unfound out, or the builds aren't particularly optimized. I know that we've been seeing the 2 priestesses coming out on some maps. Obviously, we're not seeing that here just because the treasures, as you mentioned, really aren't quite good. But he's opting for the 300 wood instead of for the 2 llamas, which is something that we've also been seeing as well. So with this 300 wood, he's going to be able to put down extra canches or a tambo potentially with this instead. So curious to see what he opts for. He's also picking these resources up right now instead of just leaving them and dropping down that cancher straight away. So instead of leaving the wood on the ground and then picking it up as he ages up, he's just opting to put them down straight away. I don't know if I agree with that. I think maybe it would have been more reasonable just waiting those extra couple of seconds to get that age up into queue. But we'll see. I'm sure he's got it calculated. Kynesie is a player that likes to calculate. He's got a big brain, does a lot of math, does a lot of thinking. So I'm sure he's thought about this and he's worked it out. Look at that. Look how close he is to age up already. I think he's been fine.
Yeah, I think you can really scrutinize and analyze it, but at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters. It is minute details here and there, because he could be gathering up the resources now, aged up probably about 3 seconds earlier, and eventually gets to the same result. But it looks like going to 3 catchers here, and investing that wood into catchers would suggest that Kynesie would like to drop more catchers and then send Chincha to buff his catchers, which in this patch it increases the gather rate by 50% from 0.6 food per second to 0.9 food per second. Remember the days when the catcher houses were based 0.5, but then Chincha buffed them by 100%, all the way up to 1.0 food per second. So yeah, there's another house-style auto-generating resources from no map control.
Indeed. I'm curious to see how Haitch on the British is going to be able to react to this, though. Whether we're going to see early aggression from him, whether we're going to see a little bit more of a defensive...
You say that. He's aging up with the Philosopher's Prince. That's 500 food, and usually we see the 500 food politician linked with a Virginia company, so you can spend all your time chopping for manors and then using the food from the crates to fund your villager production. I think in this case it's going to be used the same way, but these villagers chopping the trees with Gangsaw, making good use of the market to get his Gangsaw upgrade. So we have 19 villas in total now. Most of these villagers on chopping wood and just getting that village production going, and also having this manor house forward on top of this hunt, having a manor house down here on top of this hunt. Any villagers that Haitch is producing is essentially on top of a hunt, gathering resources away from the base, prolonging the life of resources in his base, and it's just generic good eco management there from Haitch. And we see, looks like Kynesie's taking this Tambo, sending the 2 builder Travars from this trading post, so getting the trading post in transition, then dropping a very aggressive double Warheart forward, it seems. Haitch has taken the same trading post on the same line to deny any trading stagecoach play here. Yeah, it's really interesting and nice to see that Incans can receive shipments from their trading posts. I nearly got caught out once, big time from that while I was playing somebody, but yeah, the 2 Warhearts very far forward.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. I didn't actually think that we'd see it on this map, just because of the awkward positioning of the trading post. It doesn't really seem like what's the word? There doesn't seem like an intuitive place to be sending your tambo, or putting your tambo and sending your travois. But it's good to see that.
Oh no! You see what I'm seeing, right?
I see what you're saying.
Oh, he's researching trade cart on a 1 TP line, while Haitch has the other trading post.
Does he know that Haitch has got the other trade post?
No,
Are we able to go in and check?
he hasn't been on that side at all. And the thing is, as he's playing as a native civilization, he has line of sight over all of these trading posts. But with a recent DE change, you can try and build a trading post on a block, and it will say you cannot build here. There's a trading post here already, and there's information on the UI to suggest that one trading post is down. But oh no. Haitch is Christmas.
It's only going to upgrade that one line. Oh my gosh.
Christmas, it's come early for Haitch, it looks like, and we're already in February, so yeah, it looks to be a good year for Haitch so far.
Indeed it is. Wow. Jeez, I can't believe that. That is so unfortunate. He's just literally wasted. Well, not wasted, but 400 resources have just gone into...
and look at this. It's just the 2 spearmen trying to move north to take down his trading post, so didn't get a full batch there. And the 2 spearmen is going to take so ages. He's called a big button from his town centre, I think, to try and take down his trading post, but it's buying Haitch time and resources. Meanwhile, Haitch on 35 villagers. I think he'd sent 6... No, he didn't even send 6 longbows. I thought he might have sent a defensive longbow just in case of this aggressive push. But now that Haitch sat there realising that all these spearmen on the top side, he's thinking, oh great, I've got all this time now to send myself 600 wood as a third shipment in a standard British card progression, which nice balance between military and eco. You can build more manor houses on that wood, but yeah, I think Haitch would be quite happy with how this has gone so far. And with a batch of longbows, another batch of musketeers coming out, it's just going to push forward and try and put some pressure on these war huts with no units nearby because they're on the other side of the map at the moment.
And that's exactly it. I think that Haitch knew that he was always going to be losing this trade post. He knew it was only a matter of time. He was just putting it there just to be cheeky. Are we able to check on Kynesie's deck? Has he actually sent the 3 trade post travois? Is that what
he did? He sent the 3 Tambo travois. So obviously he had 1 TP which he built, which spawned these 2 war huts on the age up as a forward shipment point, and then he sent the 3 wagons from this war hut to go across the map and take the 4 TPs. But the thing with Fertile Crescent is 2 separate routes instead of like a 4. Instead of a singular trading route with 4 trading post slots, which is a very valuable trading route. This is not the most valuable shipment or trading route in the game. So he's only got one of these routes upgraded to Stagecoach. You could argue you should probably, if you're going to upgrade one, you might as well upgrade the other, but Kynesie just doesn't have the resources. He's having to spend all that wood on top of to get these units out. And actually, I'm just looking, that Tambo's still yet to be built. It's taking a while to get that one constructed.
I really like the position here from Kynesie. I think that he's obviously established map control. He's now got 4 trading posts that are up. He's got his canches. It looks to me like he might have maxed his canches already. I saw that he was on 145 population, which is an awful lot. So I think that he's when it comes to the economic front, he's doing incredibly well. So yeah, we do see that. Oh, you can actually see the amount. Oh, there we go. 12 canches.
Yeah, he's built 12.
The 13th one just going up now.
Where's that?
With 169 pop. I think that's
max. No, he's only got 12 on the field, but all of them are built. But yeah, 100. He's got 174 from the Tambo population here before any other population upgrades to come in here. So yeah, it looks like Kynesie's at max population. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how many torps you can actually build. I've never played Inca before. Just haven't got around to it. But Haitch pushing out with musketeer longbow, training hussars from behind, and here comes a batch of hussars. It's like a full batch of 5. But actually, there's quite a lot of spearmen here to zone off the hussars. Chimney runners on top of the longbow musketeer mass. Most musketeers getting focused down by the jungle bowmen. Musketeers forming a front line here in front of the face of the bowmen, taking all this extra multiplier damage from the bowmen. But the hussars are still alive, actually. And the hussars here, well micro to keep them away from the spearmen. Spearmen focus down, and hussars having an absolute field day on his very low HP. Jungle bowman, 90 HP behind. Spearman gets him trained right in the face of all his infantry mass here from Haitch. The right unit at the right time, it looks like, for Haitch. And a batch of Chimus having to be used defensively here to protect his bowman instead of wanting to join up with these Chimu runners and crush this longbow mass. Yeah, it looks like it's been a great fight here for Haitch. And even if it is not a clean-up, it's just a nice trade where Haitch at the moment is on 47 villagers, probably slightly ahead on the eco from Kynesie. He's only got 26, and I think Haitch has still got a couple of hunts under his control, so it's not exactly Haitch being starved out at the moment.
I still think, even though the score indicates that Kynesie is not in a good position, I still feel like Kynesie may have a chance. Though Haitch has actually picked up this reinforcing batch of Hussars has really sort of been what has turned the table here.
Ooh, and
Kynesie calling
the
the GG.
GG have come in there, and Haitch
Wow.
has gone 4-1, and looks like he has won this semi-final versus Kynesie in somewhat of a quick fashion. To be honest, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit longer, but
I've got shivers down my spine. I can't believe the GG just got called then. Those 4 reinforcing Husks were what turned it. Kynesie was in such a great spot, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be, was it?
I think it's fair. I can't really see at any point in any game. I don't even really want to go in on the first game as well, because that was just well played by Kynesie. I don't think H has put a single foot wrong at any point in the series. It was just so consistent throughout, and I think the anti-water play, especially in on Malaysia and on Florida for games number 2 and 3, was just so strong.
Yeah. I was so impressed by that India game that we saw out of H. That was just so magnificent watching that push as it came up the coastline. Very slow, very monotonous. Just, we knew exactly what was going to happen in the end, but still, it happened. And it was just beautiful to watch. It was just, what's the word that I'm looking for? It was just,
Drongo was in awe of watching his idol, H, absolutely destroy the Master of Wars and the Master of Water play himself.
What can I say? I'm a little bit of a fan. A little bit of a fan.
I know you was very excited when I asked you, if I basically asked you, hey Drongo, I want to co-cast a semi-final with you. Pick a series. What series do you think we should do? Should we do the H versus Kynesie? Should we do the Mighty Noosh? How about we do the H Kynesie? He's like, yes, mate, let's do that. I'm so excited for that. And I think there's quite a lot of other people actually hyped for that series as well, and offering to cast that as well. So a lot of hype on this series. And do you think this is going to be the year of the H? I know you talk about this quite a bit, but we are seeing it in action now. And basically, H has, apart from that one game versus Kevin, because Kevin is just too good, H has just basically brushed aside any competition he's had so far this series.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the money. H is in amazing form right now. I'd be curious to see if Mito does manage to win the second semi-final, how H is going to deal with Mito, because Mito is in great form right now. Mito's on point. His micro's looking amazing. His build orders are clean. His macro's impeccable. It's just, it's going to be a battle of two titans when H meets Mito, inevitably, eventually, potentially in the final. I'm very curious to see how it's going to go, but I do suspect it will be the year of the H. H is in absolutely fine form. He's playing out of his mind, and you love to see it, don't you?
Just have a final look at this game stat before we kind of continue our summary of what's gone on so far. Where do you think this game went wrong for Kynesie? Because you were saying that towards the end, Kynesie still feels to be in a somewhat decent position. He didn't feel that it was over there and then. But there must have been something which could have gone better for Kynesie, and I'm having a look at that stagecoach in the wrong line and kind of giving H that extra stagecoach TP for a little bit and just really just delaying that 4 TP playstyle that Kynesie wanted to go for.
I feel like Kynesie fought a little bit too far forward. I feel like he should have almost waited for H to begin sieging his war huts and then begin dancing with H and then try and engage under both of the war huts instead of just engaging under the one. It can be a little bit difficult, and I appreciate that Kynesie is infinitely times better than me. But I just suspect that if Kynesie was able to hold on for just maybe another minute or two, he would have been able to outmass H, and I think it would have been GG, honestly. Inca, not to be messed with when it comes to map control like this, when they've got the Chimu runners that are just going to be hitting H from all angles if the game goes any longer than 12 minutes. They're going to be able to continue sending that 600 wood and be building up those huge masses. And he had just gotten down his 4 TPs. He'd gotten down his max canches. So he was going full greed. And just very similar to the Portuguese game, there was a window. There was a timing. And H just nails it. He nails it perfectly. And he recognized it. And he just, hit the nail on the head. So very well played by H. I genuinely thought if Kynesie was able to hold on there, he would have won. But unfortunately not.
I suppose from Kynasie's point of view, he probably had a game plan versus this, because this was a counter pick in respect to Haitch's first pick here, and I think he probably had a battle plan drawn up, thinking, right, if my opponent is going to drop an early Age 1 trading post and likely go into Virginia Company, this is a greedier build, I can counter this by doing this and this. Whereas if my opponent is not going for a trading post, I can take the full trading post line by taking 1 TP in transition, sending forward War Huts, and then sending the 3 Tambo Travois, because when do British players ever get a trading post on the 700 wood in the second age? Almost never. So
exactly.
When I'm going through this kind of thought process, I can understand why Kynesie did his actions. I think he was just surprised to see Haitch even had a trading post. I think that didn't even cross his mind, because he may have that tunnel vision of, I'm in the zone, I'm sending 3 TP Travois because I'm going to get all 3 TPs down on the line for a 4 trading post.
I reckon Haitch would have seen it in his deck, and he would have been like, it's big brain time. And he just quite literally outbrained him.
Haitch, big boy, big brain status. A 500 IQ play for certain there. Right.
Definitely.
That's going to wrap up this series of Haitch versus Kynesie. Kynesie, unfortunately, will be bowing out at the tournament at this stage, but he does claim the joint 3rd and 4th prize. But Haitch will be moving on to the final, where he'll be facing either Maito or Neutral Bet.